afternoon and welcome to the Coaching Collaborative with Rachel and Malavini.
Hello there.
So how are you?
Feeling Christmassy.
I can see that.
Not as Christmassy as you, though.
Nobody is as Christmassy as I.
No.
I should be in Lapland right now. But I am not, alas. But we are here today to talk about coaching ourselves through Christmas. Because
And
it
some
can
of us
be
need
quite...
it more than others.
I was just going to say, and it can feel like an awfully long time.
Yeah.
So we had a talk about this, and we thought what would be really fun is to take Christmas movies and the themes within those Christmas movies and use a coaching approach to handling some of those trickier holiday issues.
Absolutely. And we're going to start with Die Hard. We're not starting with Die Hard.
We're not starting with Die Hard.
I just wanted to see the look on your face. Like, what?
I was pretty sure that was one of the ones that we discussed not to talk about.
Well, I might throw it in there at some point. We've got 12 days.
It might be the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first one that popped into my head, and is the first one that we watched as a family from probably about the 12th of December, was Home Alone.
Fantastic movie.
It is a fantastic movie.
Although it stands the test of time, doesn't it?
It does. Well, yeah, kind of. I think there is an argument in our family of which is better, Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2.
I don't think I've seen Home Alone 2 in a long time.
Lost in New York, of course.
Oh, yeah. Vague memories of that.
But when we were talking about this, we were talking about, well, what are the themes within Home Alone? And there are so many things that apply. I think a lot of people can probably relate to the themes that pop up in Home Alone. Hopefully not the one where your parents leave you and head off to a different country as a child. But, there is that toxic Uncle Frank. There is sibling rivalry, cousin rivalry. There's also, that feeling of just wanting your mum, your dad, to come and rescue you. So, I mean, from your point of view, what's the thing that stands out for you for Home Alone?
I think it's the toxic behaviours, and especially amongst the children, the parents are so busy that some of the older children are in charge of the kids, and that's normal in quite a lot of households. But when you've got older children that are quite toxic and treat the little ones meanly, that can be quite tough to deal with. And then 20, 30 years later, you're still with those same people and you're all grown up, but you're still acting possibly like the victim and the bully.
Or acting like you're 6 again.
Yeah.
So it's that reverting back to type, isn't it? Or reverting back to old behaviours, things that you think you grew out 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's not just Christmas, but Christmas is the one time where everybody's there, isn't it? Quite often, everybody's like, you've got all your siblings there, and I think things will just. I think the triggers might be quicker. One little comment, and you've got about 40 years worth of history loaded behind it. And so it can, you just, like you say, revert to type and just react straight away.
It's interesting. I was just reading about Eric Byrne's transactional analysis, and the idea being that, certain things can trigger you in a way where you behave or will respond like a child, or you'll respond like a parent, but you might not necessarily respond like an adult that you are. And
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. There are certain things that certain individuals within our family will say, and my immediate response will be something that I know I probably said when I was about 10.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
I can't, it's almost like I can't help it. And yet I'm
Yeah.
aware of it. And
Mm.
I'll go away or go to a family meeting or a reunion or whatever meal, being aware of it and knowing that it
Mm.
could potentially happen, but not really preparing myself effectively. And I think that's the thing that we've talking about. It's almost,
Mm.
hopefully through this podcast, is that we can identify those triggering toxic
Yeah.
behaviors or relationships, or and dealing with it with love and respect, and also the
For
ability to be
yourself.
able to,
I
yeah,
think love
absolutely.
and respect for yourself as well as the people in your family
I think
or the
it
people
for
there.
me it's hand in hand. You can't do it
Mm.
without the other, really.
Yeah.
It has to be done for both parties
Mm.
involved. And sometimes it could be a potentially an older relative, um, and you being able to work out, okay, well, they've said this for the last 20 years at Christmas, and it still bothers me. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to speak about it? Am I going to challenge it? How will I challenge it?
And I think it's deciding which battles to choose as well.
Mm,
If you have decided to battle and go, actually, I'm not going to take this anymore. If it is an older relative, are they likely to change? Actually, if it's a younger relative, are they likely to change? I think of a few family members that will never change. But
is that a
my
reason not to say
expectation,
something though?
um, it's all about, I think it's more a case of, actually, I'm the adult now. I'm not a
Mm,
kid. I'm not a victim. I've got a choice in how I respond. So I can react like I did when I was 10, or I can think, okay, that's about them. Because
yeah.
when I think of certain people, they're doing it for the reaction. So
Mm,
am I going to give them what they want? And usually
mm,
that means that I look like the bad person because I've responded or reacted. So
yeah. So
yeah,
you've been
so it's
triggered
a
and
balance.
they've got the appropriate response.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I think
But
that's it's no, go on.
is there a way that it can be a learning experience for both parties?
Um, yeah, I think coming from a teaching background, um, you kind of get used to saying to children, actually, the way you just spoke to me, did I deserve that?
Mm,
Have I disrespected you? Have I been rude to you? And when they'll be like, no, and I was like, so is there anything you want to say to me? Sorry, miss, kind of thing. It doesn't always work with adults because, like you say, they revert to type and they've got their bugs to bear and so on. But I
mm,
think pointing it out will probably make you feel better. That actually, I didn't deserve that.
mm.
Standing up for yourself.
And there is also, you won't always get that apology there and then. You might not even get the reaction that you want there and then. But is it still worth challenging the behavior, or changing your behavior accordingly, so that even though the lesson might not be learned right there and then, on reflection, the lesson may be learned?
Yeah, I also think, I mean, when it comes to family, some people are never going to change. What needs to change is your expectations of them.
Mm,
So, you know, if you just wish your mother would be more loving, for example, and not
mm,
being who she is, actually, is that ever going to change? No. So it's more about an acceptance of who that person is for all their flaws, and
Mm.
changing your own expectations. So you're not sitting there feeling like, I wish you would, I wish you would. It's more a case, this
Mm.
is who she is, so this is what I'm going to get.
I think there is that element of comparison. We all have, or we're all experienced other families, or we've got friends who have got families where they have these amazing traditions and rituals, and there's so much love, and there's a dash of jealousy almost of, well, we don't have that, or that doesn't look like my Christmas, and actually I'm dreading my Christmas because of X, Y, and Z.
And
And
especially this
actually, a lot
time
of
of
the time,
year, you see it all over the TV, don't you? You know,
yeah,
adverts and all kinds of things, pictures in shop windows of families with turkey and all that. And for many of us, we look at that and go, that's not, that's got nothing to do with me. That's not my picture of my family. You know?
yeah,
So I suppose it's
absolutely.
being realistic.
Okay. So if we were to give some top tips on how to survive a Home Alone type Christmas, what would we say?
I think, well, preparation, preparation, preparation.
Yeah. It's not just about
Having,
preparing those sprouts.
yeah, just, you know, certain people are going to say, if I think about my family, there's one person I know is going to push a button. They probably need to just look at the button. They don't even need to touch the button. They will push it. And it's like DEFCON 5. And I turn into a 9-year-old. And it's something that I know that I need to prepare myself for, and have a sentence that I will say when, or need to leave the room for a bit, or go and play with the dog, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I need to have some kind of strategy where I need to calm down.
Yeah. So it's analyzing or thinking about, at the very least, what it is, what behavior it is that you want to avoid, and the reaction from yourself that you want to protect yourself from potentially and others,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about what you can do to avoid that, or where necessary confront it in advance of it happening potentially.
Yeah, yeah. And confront it in an adult way, not like you're 9 years old. Yeah.
No, that was that yeah,
And I think,
that very
yeah,
upset
because,
child. Yeah.
yeah, because, you know, like the transactional analysis, you go into child mode where you feel like the
Mm.
victim, and you didn't have the language for your emotions. You didn't have the language to be assertive. And
Mm.
just remember, you're an adult. You're an adult now. But also remember that person is clearly, it's like any bully, you know, they're doing it because they've got some kind of feeling of insecurity and inadequacy about themselves. So see it for what
Mm.
it is. It's not about you, it's about themselves.
Yes. And also that they could refer to type, and they could come to, we've got to expect that whoever we're dealing with has their truth and their reality of this
Yeah,
experience and of this behavior. And they too might come to the meal or to the staying where they're thinking, I don't want to be like that, I don't want to do that. But for whatever reason, and we've got to remember that whilst we can be triggered by people, other people can be triggered by us. And we might
mm,
do or say something or look in a certain way, like you say, they don't even have to say anything to press the button,
yeah,
but it's enough to trigger somebody.
yeah,
And I think it's thinking about, okay, how do you have that conversation which says, look, I don't want to do that this year. And I don't know about you. How do you feel about it? Is there anything that I do that upsets you specifically that does this,
mm,
that makes you feel this way? And if so, let me know, because I'd really like to avoid it this year. And I
yeah,
appreciate that I got some part to play in this.
Yeah.
Okay. So on that note, I think the only final thing that we need to say on Home Alone, coaching through Christmas, is Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Merry Christmas. It's been the Coaching Collaborative.